everyone and welcome back to Budget Mum Soph. Today I'm going to be asking your most asked questions. I asked over on Instagram if anyone had any kind of money, finance, family budgeting questions, and I received quite a few, so I'm going to answer some of them in this video. Okay, the first question, and I really like this question, is if you and your other half stopped working today, how long would you be able to survive for financially? That is a really good question because I think I read, this was a few years ago, but I read that not many people could survive for 2 months, for like over a month, if them or their other half stopped working. We are currently saving for a house, so we do have more savings than we ever have had. If we both stopped working right now, we'd be okay for like over 6 months, less than a year, over 6 months. However, once we buy the house, if we both stopped working, we wouldn't be okay for more than a month, basically, which is quite scary because I'm self-employed. So technically I could stop working at any point, but you know, we'll just keep pushing through that. It will be fine. As we move, obviously, Adam will then get paid again. I'll then get paid again. We'll be fine. It's just the idea of having no savings is scaring me a little bit. I think before you buy a house, you've obviously got so much in savings, then all of a sudden it's gone. But we'd be okay for a few months, for over 6 months, I reckon, less than a year. Next question is, do you buy anything designer? No, not really. I have a few designer items that I was gifted for my 18th and 21st birthdays. I've got a beautiful Vivienne Westwood purse, which actually, I think I got it for my 21st and I'm going to be 26 this year, so it's almost 5 years old and it looks brand new still, whereas purses I've bought in the past have literally lasted like 6 months. So I guess designer items do keep, as in they're a lot more sort of robust and they're going to last you longer. However, I'm just not the sort of person that can spend thousands on one item and be okay with it. I just can't. I know they say buy cheap, buy twice, but I mean, there's buying cheap and then buying like 100 times to afford the designer item. I think the only designer item that I'd consider getting would be maybe a bag or sunglasses, something that's going to last me for years and years. But no, I don't buy designer items. I'm not very, like, it's not my style. Like, I don't particularly like designer clothes on children or myself. It's just, yeah, it's just not us really. Next question is, how do you budget for your own hobbies? Now, this is a really interesting question because initially I was like, I don't really have any hobbies, but I have ADHD, and if you have ADHD, then you'll know often I'll go into a hyperfixation on something and I will be obsessed with that hobby. Right now, I'm obsessed with doing, this actually has been like a constant hobby that I dip in and out of, but I love finding out things about Adam and my family tree. And obviously that can add up because by the time you pay subscriptions and birth certificates and things, you can get down a right hole with it. But if it's not that, I mean, maybe I'll be interested in crochet or knitting or something. I've always got a hobby on the go, basically. ADHD, hyperfixations. The answer is, in the past, I mean, I've spent thousands on fixations before and then been bored of it the week after. So I have to really be careful and like try and push through the fixation. Last month I was obsessed with embroidery, and I was going to buy an embroidery machine, which is like £1,000 and it's ridiculous, and I managed to push through that. So right now I'm working on pushing through my fixations. What I tend to do is we give ourselves some personal money each month. So we give ourselves between £200 and £300 to spend on what we want to. So that's things that, like, not the bills, not things for Albie. I always spend mine on Albie, but you know, for us. And typically that's what I'll use to spend on my hobbies / fixations. Got the window open, by the way, because it's really hot in here. So if you hear some cars going past, that's why, and I'm very sorry. Now, this next question I really loved. Do you manage to make more money by saving and cutting back, or side hustles? Got really long and hard about. Initially I would have said side hustles, but actually I think it's not. I think it's from saving and cutting back. I know obviously when we did our summer challenge, which was to make £1,000, that month obviously I'd have said side hustles. However, typically month to month, I think we save more by cutting back. For example, before we were budgeting, our food shop could have easily been 600, 700, whereas now we get it down to, I like to keep it between 300 and 400. So there we've already saved hundreds in a month. The things about just by budgeting, we've saved so much, because before, when it was just tap, 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 like I'd spend more than my 200 spending money. Whereas now, because we cut back, we definitely save a few hundred per month. So yeah, we probably save more by cutting back. However, the side hustles do really, really help, especially the summer one we did. That really helped. Even like we just do odd surveys and things. If you can do market research and things, it all adds up quite quickly. So you can make a lot of money that way. But cutting back definitely, I think, has helped us save the most money. What's your best budget tips for keeping little ones entertained when the weather's rubbish? My best tips is, one thing we do is, from IKEA you can get those massive rolls of paper. So one thing I do is I roll that out in the kitchen and then just let Albie go crazy with either paints or colouring pens, stickers, whatever. That always saves a lot of time. The library also, I'm a really big fan of. We spend a lot of time in the library. Have a look at your local library as well, because lots of them offer free events. Ours does rhyme time, often they do like craft days and things, so they're really good as well. And one of my all-time favourite rubbish weather things to do is have a movie night. We just, on movie day, me and Albie sit with blankets around us and snacks and just stick a movie on. It's one of my favourite things to do. Yeah, there's definitely less to do, obviously, when the weather's bad. Oh, another thing we do is, if the weather's bad but it's not like absolutely chucking it down, we do still go outside. Albie loves jumping in muddy puddles, so a muddy puddle walk is always fun. Obviously you get muddy afterwards, you have to go straight in the bath, but we make use of that when the weather's rubbish as well. But I think my favourite one is probably just get a big roll of paper. I think it's about £4 from IKEA, and it lasts ages. Just roll it out and let the kids go crazy. Okay, the next question is, are you looking forward to the changes, to the childcare changes? No, but hold on. So from a personal point of view, I'm not looking forward to it because it doesn't benefit me in any way. Albie is nearly 4, he goes to school in September, so it makes no difference to me. However, I am looking forward to it for everyone else and friends and family that are obviously going to benefit it. I think it's a really good change and a positive step in the right direction. However, obviously still a lot more can be done to help women go back to work if they want to. For a lot of people it's not a choice as well. I do think, however, for me it's a little bit too late. It doesn't benefit me at all, but obviously future children we have, it will benefit if we choose to send them to nursery before they're 3. It's definitely a step in the right direction. I do wish, however, they would definitely increase maternity pay. And also it feels a little bit like by putting this scheme into place, obviously I know lots of women want to go back to work and are encouraged to. However, I do wish there was more accommodations in place for women to work, because although you'll get 15 hours, 30 hours free childcare is amazing, that doesn't cover the school holidays. That still only covers school time. So for a woman to work, they're still going to have to pay extra childcare and all those things. And yeah, it is definitely a step in the right direction. However, there is lots more room for things to be done. Do you do cash stuffing? How much time do you spend on surveys to start earning over 20? Okay, so cash stuffing I've tried before and I didn't end up sticking with it. For me, I think it's a really good idea and there's definitely lots of benefits. I read this article once about handing physical money over. The like psychologically you spend less because you're physically handing it over, whereas with your card you can't see it. However, I just found it a bit counterproductive getting the money out and then keeping it away, and if I went out and I didn't have the cash on me, then I wouldn't end up doing it anyway. So that's probably just my ADHD / chaoticness. So it didn't personally work for me. However, I know so many people that it has worked for. How much time do you spend on surveys to start earning over 20? So the main one I use, actually I use a few. I'll use Atapol as an example. When you first sign up to Atapol, you'll get some surveys and they're not necessarily the best paid surveys. Stick with it, because now I get £2.50 surveys often, so anywhere between like £1.50 and £2.50, and if I do 2 of those a day, I've made £5. Before you know it, if you're making £5 a day, that's £35 a week. No, more than that. No, Yep, £35 a week. So stick with it, basically. Start the surveys. To start with, you are going to get lower paid ones. And I say this to people all the time. When you're doing surveys, some of them you are going to get disqualified from. It's really irritating, but it's just surveys. You're not going to qualify for every survey. Stick with it because it gets to know you better, and it will start to give you ones that fit you more, and also higher paid ones as well. Once they know you're doing the surveys, you'll start to get more higher paid ones. There are other ways. I'll leave my blog down below, because there are other ways I make money as well other than surveys online. You can do like cashback tasks and things like that. So I'll leave that down below, and you can see all the kind of ways that I side hustle online. What did you find hardest about no spend Jan? Oh my god, not spending. I definitely found do you know what, actually? I found socially it quite hard, in the sense that I couldn't just pop out for a drink with a friend, or even like me and Albie love going to charity shops, and I couldn't do that. So that was probably what I found hardest, and I didn't think I would. But just kind of being stuck in. Obviously, I had things to keep me busy every day, but I started to miss doing the things I enjoy. So that was definitely the hardest part, I think. What sites would you recommend for making a bit of extra money that are legit? Again, I'll leave a link down below. All the ones I do, I've tried and tested myself, so you know that they're legit and I do them myself. Need to change car, views on PCP, please. Okay, so my views, we actually used to do hire purchase. I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I was in a car accident. We've always had second-hand cars, and we had a second-hand car that was like 20 odd years old. And one day we were driving home, and Albie and I were in an accident. We were driving down the road, and a car came out of the road and hit into us. It was really scary. Luckily no one was hurt, so it was fine. Obviously an ambulance had to come because Albie was under 5. It was fine. The car was written off. So then we did a hire purchase car, which is where you pay for the car, you put a deposit down, and then you pay monthly. And we started doing that, and I really rated that. It was really good. By the end of it, we'd have owned our car. However, I mean, what are the chances of this? On the same road, we were driving home one day, and a car absolutely was just driving. We were driving that way. Out of nowhere, the car decides to turn, hit us. Then it like spun round and hit us again. So it hit us head on, sorry. We hit it head on because we were driving down, and it turned. Then it spun and it hit me. I couldn't open my door. It was very scary. Still a little bit traumatised, but we'll move past that. So our poor car was written off again. And obviously we did get some money back for it, because both accidents weren't our fault. The other parties absolutely said it was their fault. However, we then started looking into other options, and we let you purchase the car. You can put an instalment down, then you pay it monthly. However, at the end of it, you don't own your car. You then either can trade it in for another one, or you can pay off the remaining. We did look into that, and it was an option. However, I said to Adam, we don't know what our situation is going to be in 5 years' time. I don't want to commit to having to pay another 5-10 grand. If you want a newer car, it's going to be great for you, because you can have the newer car and pay monthly. However, if like us, you're not too fussed on it being the newest and the latest car, at least you're going to own it at the end. It just depends on you if you like to have the newest car and the more up-to-date car, or you're happy with something a little bit older. So that is all the questions that I'm going to answer today. Put me a follow on Instagram, obviously, and all that jazz, and on here. And yeah, I will see you next week for a video very soon. Bye.